Welcome to Keep on Cybertruckin, a podcast where Cybertruck owners share their experiences, talk about all things electric vehicles and technology. My name's Eric. We got Will, Chase. It's a late one for us tonight. Yeah, just a little bit later. But yeah, so let's dive right into it. I wanted to talk about first thing I think, which in my opinion is probably the big news of the week, which is Rivian and VW kind of I guess VW's investing $1 billion into Rivian. I guess what's happening is they're kind of helping each other out. VW's giving them the $1 billion, and Rivian's giving them technology, right, and helping them with their future vehicles. But one of the curious things was that the fact that that number can increase to up to $4 billion. Or $5 billion, so an additional $4 billion. Yeah, so $5 billion total to Rivian, which is really, really crazy. So I think it's something that Rivian kind of needed, right? They needed that kind of shot in the arm.
I think their stock certainly is enjoying the shot in the arm. I mean, it's up 50% from yesterday, from like 10 to 14 or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was about
a little. 18.
Yeah, it was a little less than $12 when I saw it and when this news broke, and I think it shot up all the way past $18 a share.
Yeah, I think the after hours trading saw it pop off quite a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think right now it's about 14 and a half, almost 15.
It's funny because I don't know if I mentioned Rivian stock a few weeks ago or not, but a couple months ago I put some of my son's birthday fund. It's just usually in just kind of safe stuff into Rivian because it looked like it was bottoming out. The technicals looked great, and I'm like, okay, this is a good buy. And it turned out to kind of climb up from there, and this is just like the catalyst that it needed to pop. So it's
nice.
It's doing pretty good. So he has gotten a cool 100% on his money since, because we bought it at $8.60. So go Rivian.
So I was gonna say,
wait, you bought story. In at what price?
$8.60.
Oh wow,
solid invest.
Yeah.
So funny story. So I remember I got my first Tesla after I had a VW TDI, one of their turbo diesel, and in the 2015 Dieselgate and everything, VW bought my car back. And I remember that as a part of that settlement, they were compelled to invest something like $30 billion, I think. $5 billion of which was earmarked specifically for Electrify America and rolling out more electrical chargers. And I think that VW's kind of begrudgingly kind of kick the can down the road a lot when it comes to an electrified fleet. Like I remember seeing, I think it was like the 2017 auto show or 2018. I think I remember seeing the VW ID4, the Buzz. Like they had really cool offerings, but it didn't seem like they were ever really taking it seriously. And they were basically compelled by the Department of Justice or whoever, Federal Trade Commission, to invest in, that was their settlement for Dieselgate. So seeing them invest of their own free will, their own investment, $5 billion into a rival auto manufacturer, I think that it's an interesting play for both of them, because Volkswagen can, at a time when EV adoption maybe is slowing down, and maybe some of the legacy automakers are like, well, we don't want to be known as an electric maker. We want to be an automaker that also has electric. And maybe VW is looking at that in this moment to be like, if we support Rivian to help us technologically get to that place that we should be at, then when we also diversify and engender a positive relationship with them, then, who knows? I mean, everybody keeps looking at Rivian's stock price being like, okay, so the buyout could be Apple or VW, apparently. This seems like the most honest play that I've seen VW make in a long time, where they're like, okay, they're trying to support a company that's lined up to be doing really well in the EV space. This is fantastic news.
Yeah, it'd be cool to see if they introduce more of their kind of like merge the technologies in a way. So maybe batteries and electric motors from Rivian, but in Volkswagen, like vehicles, especially for
I
smaller vehicles. It'd be
I
nice.
had a feeling that like around the Dieselgate stuff with VW, I really think that they kind of just got told, sorry guys, you guys have to support electric vehicles. And Volkswagen's like, we only know about defrauding the governments for the amount of carbon that we put out. We have no idea how to build an electric vehicle. So they spend a fair amount of time doing it, but it's like the fact is like Tesla has bought up a lot of battery companies. Like look back on all their
Yeah.
acquisitions on the Wikipedia page. They have gone through and bought up a lot of the battery makers. And I don't know if there's a lot left for someone like Rivian, but I feel like considering Rivian's price drops, the refreshed R1S and R1T, I had read somewhere that Rivian found like 50 different stops to speed up the battery production process or changes in the battery build process to save money. And I'm like, that sounds like a company that's innovating in a positive way. And I'm like, maybe this is one of those. 10 years ago, I think I said Volkswagen's going to find out very quickly that you don't just pull the motor out, plop in an electric motor and a battery and say, there, drive. Like, there's so much more technology behind it to optimizing a battery driven vehicle. And I wonder if this is just VW being like, yeah, we could keep trying to research for $5 billion and we catch up to the number 2 seat behind Tesla.
Yeah.
Sounds cheap.
Smart. Yeah, because
Yeah.
I think if they would try to buy into Tesla, it's out of their price range at this point. I don't think they could do
100%.
it.
Yeah.
But I think that the biggest like draw I think that Rivian's got, and it's kind of been like the workhorse of their value, has been like the fleet. The fleet of vans they have, and it seems
Yeah.
like Amazon's doubling down. A lot of other companies are getting into this. AT&T, that was another big news. They're investing a lot more into buying a lot more fleet vehicles as well. So it's a cool market to be in, because I think if you just stack up Rivian and Tesla head to head, I think that they're doing well to try to fit the niches that Tesla's not. Like we have
Mhm.
the Tesla Semi, but they're not fitting the delivery driver, like the mail vehicles and the box trucks and all these things
Yeah.
that have to do like day to day. Because like even the range on that fleet vehicle they have is only like what 160, 150.
Yeah.
So they're not like looking for long haul stuff. They're just like daily driver delivery.
No, and I think that's a technology acknowledgement that I think that you learn. There's a special kind of math, I guess, that you only learn by researching it, and it's in. I think that they're realizing that for a lot of those delivery vehicles, those last mile vehicles, it's like if you build Teslas, they have to build them, or they choose to build them, a vehicle that can go up to 160 miles an hour, has multiple driving modes for the interest of the driver, all that stuff. But then you just have a company that's like, look, this van is not designed to go above 55. It's not designed to go this much faster. It spends most of its time just lurching along. And at low speed is where battery electric vehicles shine, to the point where it's like, yeah, they don't need the 100 kilowatt hour battery. They could probably get through a day on a 20 kilowatt hour battery, because all they do is just,
Yeah, it's almost
like
you want to be in traffic, right? With the EV.
Yeah.
You want to be
the stop and go
go.
is a good thing,
Yep. Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah, and it's smart of Rivian to have done that, right? To get into that fleet space, because Tesla wasn't doing it, so there's really no competition, and they went all in, and they got that investment from Amazon, and so it fits, it works, and I'm sure that's helping keeping them going and doing the consumer vehicles. So
I
I'm
just
all
thought about the
it.
fact that I think that it's interesting because like back at that same car show that I was mentioning, the LA Auto Show in like 2017, 2018, there were a lot of platforms that were selling themselves as EVs. The Bollinger we talked about, that's literally just a V with a battery, and it was awesome looking. But then everybody pivoted into this whole platform space, and it's like, okay, so there aren't going to be as many EVs on the road in the next 5 to 10 years as we all thought looking at those auto shows. So there's obviously something limiting entry, which makes sense because it's like manufacturing is freaking difficult and scaling it up is even worse. And so I think that when Rivian got tapped by Amazon to be like, hey, we want you to design us an electrical delivery vehicle, and that'll be the first thing that we're buying from you, and we expect to buy thousands of them for the next couple of years. Like when that arrangement started, I think a lot of people were like, is Rivian just abandoning the passenger consumer driving market just for this? Turns out it was the safest place they could have gone, because they have had healthy income and healthy research in all of that world and now they have a chance to really, become the next competitor to Tesla, if they're not already.
Totally.
Yeah.
Another one I learned about recently is about the mail vehicles for the U.S. Postal Service. I didn't realize that they went out of service in like '94, but they kept using them as long as they could. But that's like the perfect vehicle for something like this. Even if you could like make a more compact version of their fleet vehicle,
And
just for
like those
mail
postal
delivery.
trucks, I think that they like, if you looked at the odometer on the old ones that are, if they're still in service, like millions of miles,
easily, yeah.
millions. And it's amazing. But yeah, it's like, yeah, that's where electric vehicles are supposed to flourish.
Yeah.
If you're not doing high voltage draw and recharges, then if you're keeping the battery just driving at a normal pace, the vehicle driving at a normal pace, I mean, that could be the next 50 years of postal service deliveries.
Here's a twist for you. Insert the robotaxi. It's exactly the same use case.
Yeah. It's
We'll
not driving me to
in a couple
Vegas.
months.
It's not, yeah. It's literally just, hey, I just need to get across the street. Okay, cool.
Speaking of robotaxi, Chase, any word on getting us in at the event?
Nothing. I haven't heard anything yet, but I'm definitely keeping the ear to the ground for sure.
Okay, all right.
We will live stream, and I will wear a kimono for no reason. I'll just do it. So
I'm rubbing all my shoulders that I can. I haven't heard anything yet.
I'll just wear a robe. How about that?
Okay.
I'll just pull the Hugh Hefner.
We'll look like we belong. It's perfect.
Yeah. Do you know that Farzad is the new dad? So he's 4 weeks into baby life, but I might hit him up soon and be like, hey, do you know anything about August?
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he's got baby duties. He can't make it. Maybe we fill his shoes. You never know.
We can babysit.
Yeah.
I got a toddler that can have fun with a little baby.
Exactly. Moving on, I wanted to get into something you guys reminded me of, something that was very frustrating this past week, which was I received an email from Tesla, and they came out. I had my local electrician, the electrician that was assigned by Tesla to me for my power share equipment. They came out, they installed in, I think, like mid-May. And last week, I received this email stating that the power share activation is delayed due to my utility not approving it. Okay. It also goes on to say that they're going to give me 1 year of supercharging credits, which, okay, I mean, I'll take that. But I had some questions, and I wanted to reach out to Tesla and talk to somebody and kind of just figure out, why did the utility deny this? What's going on? I just kind of wanted to get more information, not only for myself, but also to share, on the podcast and to everybody else. I was on hold. That is not the time of day. That is how long I was on the call.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you wanted to talk to somebody in person. I'm like, there's your first mistake.
Well, yeah. So I was on hold for a little over an hour. Finally got through to somebody. They couldn't answer my question, so they put me on hold and never came back. And so you could see here, total time was 3 hours, 41 minutes, and 49 seconds. And I was at work, so I had to leave work. So I transferred the call to my cell phone, and I was on hold for an additional 31 minutes and 58 seconds until I finally gave up and hung up. So over 4 hours, and never got anybody to answer any questions of mine. So it goes back to what we learned. I don't think we learned it because I think we knew, but Tesla just sucks at customer service. They really, really do. At least when it comes to calling them. I've had great experiences at their service centers. So this has nothing to do with service centers. Everybody I meet at service centers are very nice. They give me their emails and everything. Like, if you need anything, you could email me, or all that. Very nice people. Very helpful.
Yeah.
But whenever it comes to calling Tesla, getting them on the phone is like the hardest thing ever. And I had to share it because it's frustrating. And I'm sure I'm not the only one. I think actually here, I think I have some people that put in my chat that same thing, that they were sitting on hold as well. Maybe it wasn't here, maybe it was on another forum or something. But yeah, it's just crazy.
Yeah, I wrote up. I think that I shared it with you. There's the back in 2020, in the midst of all the havoc of COVID. I was in the middle of moving, and I decided to move from my old house to my new house and move my Tesla solar setup and Powerwall. So like 20, 21, 22 solar panels and a Tesla Powerwall. And the nightmare that I had that ensued from the customer service side taught me a lot about where Tesla's priorities seemed to be then. And that was why I kind of had a bit of pessimism when you said you were trying to call to get in touch with them, because the my experience with Tesla Energy, which I'm sure has a lot of overlap with the folks that were managing the power share activation program and dealing with the local utilities, was they're hiring people to kind of just be customer service reps, and a lot of it's work remote, in my understanding, because I did chat with a couple of them and that's what they told me. So at the time, they were doing a very remote work style thing where you just pick up tickets and you'd follow stuff. But they're only as knowledgeable as the knowledge base that they're afforded. So I was like, yeah, Eric, even if you did get through to somebody, I really hope that you would get through to somebody who could tell you something. The fact is, all they're going to be able to tell you is the information that they've been disclosed to in their scripts. And it's kind of not far from the same information that trickles out in the rumor mill of the internet.
Yeah. No, you're not wrong. And going into it, I think, I was even messaging you guys and or right when I started the call, and I kind of knew that this was going to be an endurance training exercise for myself. Yeah. And so I stood on the call that long, kind of just to prove a point, and I wanted to show that because I knew what was going to happen. I knew that was going to happen. I knew by calling I wasn't going to get anywhere, but I was hoping I was going to be wrong. But you already know, and it just that's the frustrating part as well, that going in, I'm not going to get anywhere.
Yeah,
that shouldn't be the case.
Like we've said before, though, because it's like the organizational structure of it, the lack of growth in some of the support foundation and some of the support information available to them is missing to them too. So my hope is usually whenever I get somebody on the phone from Tesla, it's like, I understand. You probably don't know. I'm not mad at you.
Yeah.
I just would love somebody to say, hey, because like we've said, there's always people at Tesla who it's like you can usually find somebody to take some ownership of an issue and at least see it through somewhere, to at least more than where it is at the moment. It does. They don't usually just reinforce a status quo. So the hope is when you sit on the phone with Tesla for 3 hours, you get some dude who's like, dude, you were on the phone for 3 hours. Okay, give me your personal phone number. I'm gonna get to the bottom of it and I'll shoot you. I'll call you back. And the hope is that you're gonna get that person on the phone. That's why you wait 3 hours. And the sad part is, I just feel like a lot of those people have been laid off in the last couple of months from Tesla, so it's a difficult person to find.
Yeah.
Can't find the tweet, but I do know that even in the last 2 weeks for sure, that Elon had specifically called out something where he was like, yeah, we're working on customer service. We're like, I'm taking, a personal look at what's going on. And then I do remember responding and be like, well, Eric's been on the phone for 4 hours. What are you doing? Just call in your own customer service and maybe you'll learn a couple things.
Well, I mean, Elon slept at the factory, right, to kind of get things going. Maybe he needs to sleep at the customer service center and answer calls himself.
Well, no, actually, that was the thing, though. So, I'll give Jeff Bezos a little bit of credit. There's a couple nuggets where he'll say something business wise. I'm like, that's pretty good. This was one of them where he was in a meeting, anecdotally, and he was talking about something with customer service. And he was telling the story, and he was like, okay, well, let's call them. So he called up his own customer service in the meeting.
Yeah.
Because they were talking about retention rates and the turnover, and he was like, "Well, we're already over what your estimate on your PowerPoint is showing me. What's going on here?"
Interesting.
So,
good for him.
Call him out.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean I mean, I not that not that they have anything to do with this, but that's one of the reasons why I loved old version of Starbucks when I worked there, because they used to do evaluations on every store. They would do snapshots where people would come in and order drinks, chat up the baristas, do everything to see what the service experience was like, and they would rate it. And then they would send it to the store 2 days later to be like, hey, you guys flunked, or hey, you guys did well, but here are some areas to improve on. And you can't have a company that's successful necessarily. I mean, some companies are being successful, but maybe not at critical moments. You can't run a company when you don't know, or you don't have confidence in what's being addressed at the bottom levels outside of it, to the point where you should be involved. You should be like, hang on, let me call the friggin' customer service. Let's see how this works.
Yeah.
And then the person's like, wow, that was terrible.
You just don't know what you don't know. So Will, what's your order?
My order?
Your Starbucks order.
Oh, honestly, I just drink black coffee like every other psychopath.
That's the right answer.
Yeah, I mean,
Coming from
I
someone
used
who
to
works
do
at
like
Starbucks, that's the
I
right
used
answer.
to do like caramel. I used to do caramel frappuccino, and like, are these tasty?
Milk
And I'm
chocolate
like, you
bullshit.
but if you're, yeah, exactly, yeah. Oh God, my favorite drink. There was one dude. There were two drinks I specifically remember. This Starbucks tangent will not last. I promise, Eric. But the first dude that I remember. This is back when Starbucks used to have the manual espresso tamps. So you would have to actually tamp the espresso, get it ready, put it in the thing, hit the pour, and time it, and the timer would read off. And the lesson is, I think it's like 16 seconds or longer is ideal, but longer than 20 seconds and it's useless, because that's the characteristics of a proper shot of espresso. And yeah, back in the day, it was like, I did caramel frappuccinos and all this stuff, but yeah, then eventually we were just doing espresso shots behind the counter, just like, stay awake, please stay awake. But there was a guy that used to come in and would order 15-second espresso shots. So that was one weird thing. And then that's a pain in the ass to pull off, because you have to be very skilled at the espresso tamp. But then the other one was kind of annoying. Somebody would come in and do caramel macchiato with caramel drizzle on the bottom, like one pump of caramel on the top, one pump of caramel on the bottom. They would like Splenda on the bottom, then the milk, then the espresso shots, and then something. They were very specific, and I am like, I do not believe for a second you can tell the difference between this normal caramel macchiato and your monstrosity that you're claiming. I'm talking with my friends.
Hi.
She's not on social media, but she's on YouTube now. Henny, come on. Henny, come on. Henny, come over here.
Well,
I'll add to that is because I just remembered Farzad had like mentioned that he went to a local place around here that they got his name wrong again, because that's a whole thing. He goes to a coffee place and says, "My name is Farzad," and they like. But this one was where like they didn't even type out his name; they just put a smiley face. Love it. It's Perky Beans, if you're wondering. But what's cool about Perky Beans, and I actually went there today for lunch, is they have Red Bull infusions. I'm more of kind of an energy drink aficionado. So they'll give you like a sugar-free Red Bull with whatever flavor you want, and then that's where your way to get it. But good coffee too. But let's get it.
Well, here's a little insight, or a little thing, get to know me situation here. I've never had a cup of coffee in my life, so you guys over here bonding over coffee.
Oh my gosh. Where was this island you were on for so long? Did they have TV?
Well, my wife loves coffee. She loves Starbucks. So whenever she sends me to Starbucks, or she asks me to go for her, and she gives me the order, I'm like, I don't know, and I'm talking to the people, and they're probably laughing at me because I'm like asking weird questions, because I'm like, I don't know about this, or I don't know about this. So yeah, it's a disaster whenever I go to Starbucks. So
that way, but tea. Never had tea. Never liked tea. I just avoid it like the plague.
I love the smell of coffee. Every time she gets coffee, I'm like, oh, it smells so good, and then I'll taste it, and I'm like, no, I don't want.
So the trick to that, so it's like, no, but I don't have the palate to just hit the ground running with drinking black coffee. I hated the taste of coffee. I just couldn't do it. But I had to drink gateway drinks to get me into it. So I started with the caramel frappuccino, because it has coffee in it. There's actual coffee brewed into the frappuccino. So it's like, okay, there's coffee, I can handle it, and there's enough other stuff going on. But then eventually I was just like, I need something harder. Let's just do coffee, and then it was espresso shots, and then it was making your own Cuban coffee or doing red eyes. Just,
Cuban coffee is so good.
inordinate amount of caffeine coursing through our veins.
Yeah, I've gone this long without doing it. I'm good. I just
do it. Come on.
Just stay away. But getting back to Tesla, going back to Tesla and us talking about their customer service, and that's not necessarily a reflection of the service center, because, like I said, I've had nothing but good experiences with the service centers.
Totally.
Not sure if you guys seen this. There was a gentleman in the Cybertruck forum that mentions that he talked to a sales manager, and apparently, this is word of mouth, but apparently the Aero Caps are not coming out, is what that sales manager told this gentleman while he was talking to him, that they're not planning on releasing any wheel covers or Aero Caps in the future. So
I feel like,
not sure if that's true or not, but
yeah,
could be.
That's the case,
we find out all our information this way, right? It's word of mouth.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
there's so many things. Like, even in the UI in the Cybertruck, it still has the wheel caps on.
Yeah.
And, like, it's everywhere at this point.
I think as long as we keep reminding ourselves, like, we're still in like barely the first year of the rollout of this. Like, I'm sure that somebody did some sort of a cost analysis comparison where they're like, okay, we could fix the whole Aero Cap thing, but why? That we don't get better range because we've already proven that Edmunds and the other testers have shown that the range is already there without the Aero Caps. So therefore, yeah, exactly. Eric's done it. Go check out his video. Links in the description. But yeah, it's like there's I think maybe Tesla's like, if people want Aero Caps, some third party maker was gonna go make Aero Caps. We don't need to sell Aero Caps moving forward because they look stupid. The new ones do anyway. Maybe they were just like, you know what, that was a bad idea. All right, we'll just leave it behind. Someone will make them.
Somebody will make them for sure.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for that. I'm waiting for a lot of things. I'm waiting for somebody to do the rear view mirror. I'm waiting for somebody to give me some proper tow mirrors. I'm waiting for a lot of things. But
here's the pitch to the YouTube land and everybody listening. Design an Aero Cap. Look at the designs that they have where they use a spinning LED bar to create holograms. Now imagine that on your tires. Imagine that in the center of your wheels. You start driving, you hit speed, suddenly, you've got the little, Texas Rodeo star just rocking out on both sides. You can put in like little flames coming off of it and stuff like that. It'd be crazy.
That would be crazy. Well, I mean, Jay knows us very well. Jay's in chat. He just put in there that he needs FSD so bad. Well, Jay, my next thing we were going to talk about is exactly that. Let's
get close to the month. The end of the
month. Elon time. I know Elon. What was it? May, late April, May, stated that FSD will be coming to the Cybertruck by the end of June.
Yeah.
Last time I checked, we're 4 or 5 days away from the end of June.
And also, like, 12.4.1 hasn't reached criticality, I don't think.
Yes.
Let alone 12.5.
Yeah. So right here, Elon yesterday tweeted out that 12.4.2 is much smoother. Challenges keeping safety high while increasing ride comfort. Build moves to internal testing tomorrow. So, I mean, it's based off of what Elon's saying. I mean, sounds like we're getting closer. Will this happen before the end of June? I doubt it, but
internal testing means also all of the release candidates as well as employees that have opted in on the road.
I'm hoping that's the case.
It's got to be. I mean, that would make more sense. But I mean, that's still good news that it's close. But yeah, on Elon time, it just might bleed over into July just for the fun. fun factor, I guess. I don't know.
Well, I'm hoping that it happens sometime soon because, like Jay's in chat, he says that he has summer trips to Las Vegas and Sequoia. I am going to Las Vegas as well next month, and Jay, if you're out there, let's get together. Yeah. But I would love to have that, so that way I don't need to do that. It's 3.5 hours, 3 hours, and I'd prefer to have the car do most of that work for me.
Yeah.
I think I mentioned it after the podcast. I can pull up the clip. But the one of my turbo renters this month took the truck and did Lyft for a day with it, which was kind of fun.
Oh, you had mentioned that.
Yeah, so he got some really cool footage, but he was also like another Tesla driver. So he drives this other Tesla with Lyft, and he's like, man, I miss full self-driving doing Lyft. Because he's like, I don't have to drive. I just okay, where you want to go? All right, cool. And then he just sits there.
That's true.
He's
taking a nap.
I mean, that's robotaxi, 0.01, right?
One of the wisest things that I had read when I got my first Tesla in 2017 was somebody had said they were asking do you turn on the autopilot? This was back when autopilot was very sketchy. It thought cars parked along the side of the road were part of traffic. It was terrified. It was a nightmare. But it worked pretty well in some regards, and once you learned what those regards were, it was like a very comfortable autopilot. But I remember somebody had mentioned that they were like, yeah, I mean, I paid for a chauffeur. Why wouldn't I let him drive? And I'm like, good point. Get better with the autopilot, and then you come to rely on it. Because I'm like, anytime I think road trip, I'm like, oh my god, I don't, something. I need something else to just drive it for me.
Yeah, once you have it, you're spoiled, right? And you don't want
to completely.
You don't want to go back.
It's like leaps and bounds for people who are I'm sure that there's plenty of folks listening, but maybe not, who remember when cruise control wasn't standard, or when air conditioning, for Christ's sake, wasn't standard, when the windows were cranked, for crying out loud. These are all things that became creature comforts that we came to just expect. And I really think that, lane guidance, full self-driving, autopilot, all those things, whatever you call it, however far advanced it is, it's the next wave of, it's safer than me driving, honestly. So, you drive.
Well, I was going to ask you, Chase, how does that work? Do you know? Did you ask him? When somebody... So he's already a Lyft driver. He has his Tesla as his vehicle. Now he swaps out for his content, the Cybertruck. I mean, does he have to notify Lyft? How does that work? Do you know?
Indeed, we did have to basically get him set up with a new vehicle on Lyft right before the trip was going to happen. Yeah, so it worked out. There's a couple videos on his YouTube, and definitely check it out. The overall reaction was just like, what? People just didn't know what to think because they were expecting Lyft to show up, and then it's also just him. But it's all legit because he did put it as his vehicle, so they're just I don't know, probably not knowing what to expect until he rolls up in a Cybertruck.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I thought about doing something like that, but obviously I'm not set up with Lyft or anything like that. But I thought of doing some content like that. So, yeah, but that's fun.
A solid driver for a few years now, so it's super easy. Really great driver, really respectful. And yeah, even with filming and everything, he was making sure to cross his T's and dot his I's and everything. So it was good.
Well, that's good because I don't do that. I'm sloppy. But moving on to the other, I think, big news this week was the fact that there was a new recall. As a matter of fact, there was 2 recalls, and so right here it's just stating that there's over 11,000 trucks that have been recalled due to failure of the windshield wiper could reduce visibility, increasing the risk of a crash, the U.S. National Highway Traffic Safety Administration said. There was also a second recall, which affected another, or 11,000 trucks for improperly attached trim piece on the back end of the vehicle, which can potentially fly off and cause some hazard to people behind you. So
Which
I don't
Which
know
trim
if,
trim
piece
piece
was it?
we've heard a
Is it
lot
the
about.
plastic thing next to the bed that we have seen people say that was
Yeah,
flying off?
exactly that.
yeah,
Yeah. So this is just formally acknowledging that NHTSA is saying, no, you need to go and inspect all of those, because it sounds like some of these went out without clips to secure that plastic in place. So now they're like, nope, you need to fix that.
yeah,
Not a software
Right.
update.
yeah. And I haven't seen any issues with my windshield wiper nor the trim piece, but I did get the letter in the mail. I don't know if you did, Chase.
I didn't get the letter at all on these two.
Okay, so
I got the one for the pedal that I fixed, and that's pretty much it.
yeah,
But I haven't noticed any issues with the wiper blade or even the trim. But I think it really depends on just knowing how those clips are designed and how they are put together. It sounds like just an installation error. Like if they put it together in a certain way, they broke the clips. The clips don't actually hold it anymore, and then if they break even further, it could fly off.
Yeah.
We saw that actually, and mentioned it before with another YouTuber had like tried to take out the HEPA filter and just like tried to unclick the clips, and they just completely broke.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's like whatever certain clip that they're using on certain locations is just not meant to be unclipped, and I'm not sure if it's like. I would assume it would be the same kind of idea for those panels, because those panels should never come off. You would never have to like take them off for any reason.
Yeah.
So if they got broke in installation, it would make sense that they would then flip off because they're not properly held down.
Well, I know that I mentioned way back when that my overhead lights weren't working at delivery, and I eventually had that fixed, and they literally said it just wasn't plugged in, right? Well, ever since then, I've noticed that when I'm driving on the freeway at higher speeds, it rattles almost to the point where it's like it's not clipped in all the way, and I've tried to just push it up to see if it like will go into play, and it doesn't do anything. So I've been worried that maybe a clip broke or something broke in there, and it rattles when I don't know if you've experienced that, Chase. Does yours rattle at all or no?
I've never heard it rattling like that. No. The
Okay,
only thing
so
I'm aware of is the we might have talked about it before, the center column up top that has the parking reverse neutral controls.
Yeah.
That apparently can come loose.
Yeah.
I've actually heard it with a friend of mine here. His came loose a little bit, and what seems like to be the culprit is the it's hard to explain without like visuals, but the visor, like the sun visor that comes down.
Yeah.
It can flip around, like it can unhook from the middle and kind of like flip around to be on your driver's window, but that flip is actually magnetically attached. And I think what's happening is that when you like rip to try to dehook the magnet, that's actually putting more tension than they probably discovered on that like piece.
Jeez.
So that's probably like pulling on it more than it should be. But just to kind of be aware of like, if you unhook your visor quite a bit, just make sure you're not like
you're gentle,
yanking on it. Yeah, pretty gentle on that. Because that seems like to be it's.
We got a question, and I'm sorry if I don't pronounce your name correctly. Wanya Kam. He has a question for Will. Has Tesla contacted you at all or banned you from future sales since you sold your truck?
No.
Has anybody knocked at your door and tried to take you to
There's been
Tesla
no
jail?
communication or acknowledgement whatsoever. Obviously, Tesla's aware that the vehicle is no longer registered to me, because I didn't get the recall notice for this most recent thing. And I looked online, and I checked my VIN number on the Cybertruck, and it would have been a part of the recall, so I should have been notified. So, I mean, I'm sure that they just go off the registration numbers, but I had my theories about whether there was going to be an actual action on enforceability, and clearly I think that we've seen that it's not necessarily that they're banning people from ever buying a future Cybertruck. I think that it was more of they obviously wanted to have the language in there to be like, we will literally sue you for $50,000 if you try to scalp this car. But obviously that was more of a firing for effect, I think, at this point. The main thing is, I think that if I had another pre-order for a Cybertruck, I probably would have found it deleted from my account if they had seen me move the registration or sell or get rid of the vehicle from my account. So I'm imagining that if I put in a new pre-order right now and get back in line for a Cybertruck, I'm sure that they'd be like, yeah, sure, we'll sell you another one someday. But yeah.
Well, I think the only person that we've heard of getting banned or whitelisted or blacklisted, I should say, is that one gentleman that sold his, and then he had like 4 other pre-orders or something like that, right? And then all those got canceled. So you might be right where it's like, if you don't really have any other orders, they kind of just like, okay, well, whatever. But if you have like a bunch of them, they're kind of looking at it like, okay, you're kind of making a business out of this.
Yeah.
That's, I think, what they were trying to avoid. I don't think they were going to really put the ban hammer, down on just someone like you.
I think the goal was to limit scalping, and it's like, okay, I sold my vehicle for my reasons, and I imagine that the logic is, okay, if you got one and then sold it, that's not scalping, even if it's at an appreciated price. It's still, for other reasons. If I had like 3 reservations and my car kept appearing in Dubai, I'm sure that they would have been like, no, you can't have another one. Sorry.
As a police vehicle.
Yeah, exactly. That'd be awesome.
I wanted to kind of give a congratulations. Hugo, who is with us every week, is in chat stating that he got his email to order or to design his Cybertruck. Sounds like he's going to move forward with the order, and if he does, congratulations, welcome to the family. We can't wait till you get yours. When you do, by all means, send us pictures or get in here and let us know how you're loving it, because we would love to hear that from you.
Actually, if you decide to wrap it, I'm curious if you choose one of the one of the wraps of the week as an inspiration, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, if you do wrap it, Hugo, send that over to me. I know Jay wrapped his, and we featured his on the podcast, so we would love to do that for Hugo as well.
Totally.
Also, speaking of wraps, let's get to the wrap of the week for this week. This one is very different. I haven't seen anything like this before, and I think it's kind of cool. This guy wrapped it. It looks like it's just like a hexagon tile, right? I mean, it's just or like a fish scales, right?
I believe is basically kind of an homage to what SpaceX has been doing with their thermal tiles of the Starship.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. Like that's kind of like it's a subtle nod.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I like it.
You get those installed. I like the Foundation series cover as well.
Yeah, no, I think this is like I've said, not every wrap is going to be hey, I would do that to my Cybertruck, but I can appreciate when people think outside the box and do something a little different, because that's the fun part, right? I mean, just have fun with it, do something that makes you happy, and I can appreciate it.
Which, I mean, can you think of another phenomenon where we've had a vehicle, like a mass marketed vehicle, where wrapping has been a thing? Like, this has become a thing now, where
it is. People
get a Cybertruck and they wrap it, and then now we're like talking about every single wrap. Like, initially when you were like, "Oh, let's do a wrap of the week," and I'm like, okay, that might work, and we might have like a few. And then I was in my mind, I was thinking, we're probably gonna run out of wraps, and then it spun and it kept becoming a thing, and we're like, oh wow, okay, this is like Skittles, so you're gonna have like the flavor of the week. It's just crazy, but it's cool. I love it.
Yeah, no, that's I started seeing that, right? I started seeing that just people are just getting real creative and crazy with it. And I think what really kind of prompted the idea of the wrap of the week segment was Will. And Will was talking about doing some painting on his, and he had these cool ideas. And I was thinking, there's a lot of people like that are thinking like, hey, I'm going to get this really cool, futuristic, like what Will has said in the past, like a piece of art, and I want to showcase it. And so I went, you know what, that's what people are going to do with it, and they have. And so,
well, I think it's a testament to what Tesla has done. Like, this wouldn't become a thing if Tesla didn't ship this truck with just raw stainless steel. Like, it's just plain fact. But what's interesting, because like if you think about it, like if Tesla had offered the Cybertruck, I mean, like, oh, you can get it in raw, or you can get it in like painted white or painted gray or whatever, and like they would just paint it, I feel like people would be like, they would just deter to a painted version of the truck. They wouldn't actually go any further than that. But the fact that they were like, they stuck with their guns, they're like, okay, it's raw stainless steel, and take it or leave it. And the people who are like, leave it, are just like, I'm going to wrap it. And then now there's so many people that are just wrapping it, and they're thinking like, oh, now it looks so much better. Like, I can't tell you how many of my neighbors were like, yeah, when you first brought it home, this was like ugly as shit, but now it's like, they're like, once it's wrapped, I like it. They're like, oh, okay, cool. Like, you can bring people around to it. They're like, oh, I can see it, and it's kind of a cool thing, or cool phenomenon that we've been a part of.
I think that it seems like I think that most vehicles kind of, when they hit the market, everybody gets accustomed to seeing the vehicle in a small variety of colors that the manufacturer provides. So your opportunity to love the design has multiple opportunities. There's a green one, there's a red one, there's a blue one, there's a white one, there's silver. And when everybody saw the Cybertruck, and they're like, it looks like a low-res polygon, and it's only in gray. Yawn. So, but I think that that's where it's like, normally it's up to the manufacturer to paint it. But I watching Tesla since I started, I think that the interest in wrapping the vehicle to preserve the paint was initially something that I saw a lot in the Tesla community. So much so that they started offering, PPF wraps and stuff on the Tesla vehicles, and they even announced, hey, we're going to start offering wrap services. And for this truck, I'm like, it's a blank canvas. Like, most people are used to somebody handing you a car and be like, here's your completely unique, totally you, identity-fulfilling car in one of 6 colors that we have prescribed. Versus this vehicle where it's like, I mean, if you don't like the angles, you're not going to like the angles. But if you open up your mind a little bit to these wraps, it's going to be a unique as hell car, not just for the shape, but for the way you choose to wrap it. So spend some time with it, decorate.
Yeah.
Definitely.
100%.
Definitely. I wanted to give a little shout out to a really cool, nice guy that I met a few months ago at one of these EV meetups, and his name is Luis. He's a super cool guy. I've seen him, here and there throughout, me owning the Cybertruck and going to more and more meetups and expos and things like that. And he's always there. And he has this small business where he's actually doing, let's see, I'll pull it up here, where if you're ever in need of emergency charging, he has a EV mobile charging service.
Oh, nice.
And I just, last time I seen him, I said, I'm going to give you a shout out because, he's really supportive in the community, and I think he's doing a great thing. He says a lot of his customers, as you can imagine, are new EV owners who take their range to the limits. And so, super nice guy. I wanted to just give him a shout out. If anybody's in the Southern California area, and if you're ever in need of emergency charging, call Luis at EV Mobile Charging OC. So, yep.
Yeah, that kind of business is always really exciting to me. I feel like
I'm trying to look up and see what kind of charging he offers. If it's level 2 portable, or if he actually has like a portable level 3.
No, it's a generator that he has with a level 2. Yeah.
Okay.
So
that's fine. I mean, gives you enough. Jerry can only gets you enough miles to the nearest charger. So
That's what he states. He goes, I get there, I want to give you enough to get to, because he goes, most people that call me, he's all, they're literally like 2 miles or something from the supercharger. You know, they're almost there. You know, so he's all, I just got to give them a little bit just to get them there. So
it's like I'd tow them there if I could and just drag them.
Yeah, exactly. So I wanted to talk about, because we're getting close to the end here, but let's something I seen that was interesting, that there's 2 Cybertrucks that are going up for auction due to them being in accidents, or one was an accident, which is this black one, and then there's one that was in a flood.
With like 1 mile on the Odo.
Yeah. Let's just see. This poor guy. I mean, you see, he still has his freaking charger in there. You know, his wall connector. So he didn't even get home. So right here, here's the flood victim.
Yeah.
I mean, this thing looks brand new, you know?
Yeah, otherwise it looks fine.
But was in some type of flooding incident, and these 2 are going out to auction. So I'd be curious to see what they're going to fetch, given the state that they're in. I mean, this guy doesn't even have 4,000 miles.
I mean, that, I forget, I can't, didn't mention it. Oh wait, no, 30K. So we'll get to it in a second, but there was another truck that mentioned like 30,000 in repairs just for a front end collision. So I'm curious what the repair cost would actually be for this.
Yeah.
I think they would definitely factor into it. But yeah, definitely curious. What I'm more curious about is that flooded truck, because I feel like that's I'm questioning why it went up to auction. Like, did it not turn on?
Yeah.
Because it shows the flood line, and it's not. Yeah, right there. It shows the flood line right at the edge. So, like, what was the issue?
Yeah, because anything below that, all that's below that is the batteries.
Yeah, just the battery right there. Like, unless the battery got swamped.
But even so, even if the batteries are ruined, right? I mean, how much is a brand new battery pack? I mean, it's
20, maybe.
$20,000. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how that all works with insurance.
Sometimes I think that that the insurance problem is that they're like, okay, how long is it going to take to get the battery? Oh, to get a fresh battery for a Cybertruck to replace it, you're talking months. And then the insurance looks at it and it's like, all right, well, this person has vehicle rental reimbursement until the vehicle is repaired. And then they're like, yeah, so we're going to have to rent this vehicle for this guy for the next 6 months to the tune of, thousands of dollars. I mean, they may just be like, not interested. Salvage. We'll cut the guy a check.
Yeah, that could be the case. It's just it's sad. I feel bad for these people, because I remember when I got sideswiped and I was in that accident, how like I literally was sick to my stomach for like a day, just because it was just like, oh my gosh, like I just got this thing. I have content I'm trying to shoot. I had some, obligations,
like a month in, right?
Yeah, and it was just like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe this. And so, these poor people, I mean, they've not even 4,000 miles, I mean, it's a brand new truck, you're excited about it, and then whatever the situation was, and then you lose your truck, and it's not like, hey, I could just go get another one tomorrow.
Yeah. If you scroll through those on the front impact one, I think what's more interesting is actually where the airbags actually came out of.
I was looking at that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, they're almost from below.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's both. No, so
there's one up here,
one below, and one above. Oh, that's interesting. And then one in the middle. Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I was looking at this too when I first came across this. I was looking at how interesting that was.
Nothing in the back, though. I mean,
I was going to say nothing deployed in the back.
So keep your kids rear facing.
Yeah.
we were just talking about that. We're like, okay, because like my son's 2, and he's rear facing, but we have a road trip that we're thinking about taking with the Cybertruck in November, and we're like, is that like the time to like switch him to front facing just so he has like Blippi he can watch on the screen or something? You know, I don't know.
And this is a Cyber Beast.
Oh.
I just noticed right now. That's the thing. So poor guy. Spent all that money on the wrap and everything. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Speaking of poor guys, let's
talking about what were they thinking?
Yeah, let's go to what were they thinking.
Were they thinking?
So there's a funny guy that did something that's a little bit of a head scratcher. So we're gonna go ahead and play this. Let me turn off the audio.
You just went Leroy Jenkins.
Mm-hmm.
Send it.
So there's a Cybertruck right here. Now you said this, Chase. You sent this to me, and you said that the guy owned it for how many hours?
4 hours total.
So he owned it for 4 hours. He has this beautiful property that it looks like, but he's going down this long road, and
the audio.
He's
actually
going fast.
Yeah, it's
like if you look at something from this wide of a shot, and you're like, doesn't that look like it's going
he's not
fast?
going fast anymore.
He's going way faster than he should.
He can't do a quick stop.
And there you go.
That's the problem with going fast. You often come to a quick stop.
Let's go faster.
Yeah.
Right about here. He just he goes off the road.
And he's 100% steering.
Loses control.
So this isn't like it just started like driving off on its own or anything. I mean, he's sitting there driving it.
Yeah, which there was controversy around this because a lot of I think initially the driver wanted to claim that there was something going on electronically that caused this. I would argue, given the evidence we have in front of us, that it was probably driver error. Yeah, he even quotes right there, if we read the logs into the terrain and the accelerator may not have disengaged when the brake is depressed. He's basically saying that he's trying to claim that he hit the brake and didn't actually brake, which is interesting because we've heard this once before. There was one person who had pulled out, and they said they hit the brake and it didn't happen. But then again, it was still questionable because we know for a fact that the brake will override whatever the accelerator's doing.
Yeah, it's a cutoff system.
Yeah.
I just love the, really reading this. Waited 5 years and drove for need Tesla to take some responsibility. Tesla didn't tell you to drive that fast, man. So.
Tesla didn't tell you to wait 5 years either. So.
No. Do we know if it's a beast?
I couldn't figure out if it was a beast. I mean, I would assume it's probably a beast, just because from what I've written in, the acceleration between the beast and the dual is significant. So if you're not prepared for it and you just all right, let's go, and you just wham on the accelerator, you're gonna get caught off guard, I think, on the beast. Because it's I don't know, would you bring a brand new Ferrari into your driveway and the first thing you do is just slam on the accelerator?
Yeah,
it's basically the same amount of horsepower.
It's an error. Should I wait for Tesla to walk back their analysis? No, they literally have system level logs of everything in the car, bro.
Yeah.
Unless this becomes multiple cars doing this, it's going to be the same unintended acceleration because we don't know how electric vehicles work thing that keeps getting claimed. They did that back with the Toyota Prius. It's a hybrid. It's evil, part electric. It must be just unintentionally accelerating. Every single case was found to be just somebody got mixed up, which was the pedal, which was the brake.
Yeah, that's wild. And so that was it. That was the what were they thinking? Because what the hell was he thinking? So
I don't mean to be that toxic Cybertruck, eat the wounded type, but it's when you see stupid stuff, you're just somebody needs to take responsibility. Yeah, it could start with you. You were driving the car. You were in it. It's not it's not a witch's broom. It's not doing some random stuff. This isn't Harry. It's does what you tell it to. Because there are 17,000 other Cybertrucks on the road, and they don't have this issue. So
Yeah. I just don't like the
soapbox
fact that
down.
the reason I came across this video was people posting, they're like, "Oh, you're telling me there's 10,000 of these on the road, these dangerous things?" And it's like,
Yeah.
come on. The thing is that the most dangerous thing about them is the person behind the wheel. That's literally the fact. We saw. I don't know, just a lot.
So I got two stories, or two little things. So piggybacking off of that, I yesterday took my car to a local car wash for them to give it a hand wash, and the owner, who I've known for many, many, many years, I walked in because one of the guys outside was like, "Hey, we've never washed this Cybertruck," so he didn't even know how to open the doors. So I was just showing him around the truck. When I go inside, I asked the owner, I go, "Is this the first time you guys washed a Cybertruck?" And he was just angry. He was asking me questions, but in a very, I guess the only way I can say it is in an angry way. He's like, "Has yours rusted yet?" Things like that. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I chuckled when he asked me that, and I go, "No, mine hasn't rusted." And he goes, "Well, they're rusting," and I go, "No." So I started explaining to him all that, and he goes, "No, no, no. I've seen a lot of YouTube videos, and they're telling me that they're rusting." And then he was asking about the accelerator. It was just like, man, it's funny how people are like that. They get the headlines and they run with them, and it's gospel.
It's
So.
pretty fierce sense of Dunning-Kruger, and it's a car. I'm not a big reader, I'll admit that, but Carl Sagan wrote a really, really great book called Demon Haunted World, and it just deals with superstition. There's a lot in there about religion and that kind of stuff, so I won't get into that as far as what we're talking about here. But the one thing that I always thought was really, really poignant was the fact that he was decrying the fact that with our current direction, people were losing what he affectionately referred to as the baloney detector. Just the ability to rationally look at information and be like, yeah, you know what, it's great that this guy that you were talking to, that he went on YouTube to try to find some additional information. But if you're only finding other YouTube videos that are all citing the same thing, that's when you're supposed to say, okay, maybe there's some other actual evidence, as opposed to people all saying, hey, there's a lot of people saying. That's not evidence. That's bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
I think that that's kind of one of those things where now everybody has so much information at their fingertips and misinformation at their fingertips, and we have not at all gotten our baloney detectors back, as Carl Sagan would say. So, there's so much misinformation, and honestly, it's a good chance to be a good ambassador. It's a good opportunity to educate people. It's just a pain in the ass when somebody comes at you with that attitude, being like, "Does it explode on you yet?" And you're just like, "No."
Yeah.
But
yeah,
thanks for asking. Who are you?
yeah. So,
I think I mentioned it before, where I went to a car wash, and the kid was like, "Yeah, my dad's friend said that he had one and it caught fire," and it's like, okay, well, show me where the news story is where this thing is catching fire, because the worst case I've seen is a rollover with the Cybertruck, which is surprising in its own regard. We haven't talked about it yet, but I just because I hadn't dug it up, but a Cybertruck on fire, that would be all over the news.
That would be
social media.
on Reuters, Associated Press. It would be like the main screen page, even in the lifestyle section or something in the comics. They'd be like, by the way, here's that picture of the Cybertruck on fire again. Because
I'd be watching a basketball game or football game, and they'll be like, breaking news: Tesla Cybertruck is on fire. And that's the way it would go.
If you just look at it through the lens of all of these recalls as they come out, if you look at all the news articles that are covering the recalls, that's the slant you can kind of see those lenses through. Because they're just yet another recall, and it's okay, all Cybertrucks is the way that they word it is so biased against Tesla. It's showing their bias.
Now just to show that enthusiastically, we can also be like, there are aspects of this vehicle that seem like they were rushed, or decisions and things that we're watching in real time. We haven't seen a vehicle like this hit the mainstream. I'm trying to imagine. I'm trying to think. Are there any other vehicles you guys can think of where it's it's a major event like this happening at a time when social media and everything is at a fever pitch, far beyond. It's settled. We all have access to each other all the time, nonstop. And so we have the opportunity to hear a lot of hearsay and a lot of unfounded information. And, as they say, lie can get her halfway around the world before the truth gets its shoes on.
Right.
So I think that this is like one of the first real big, controversial vehicles that have hit the world at a time when everybody just has the ability to share their little opinions,
Controversial is the key word there, because I think that even more news came out the same exact time about F-150s. Like there's a massive recall that's going back years with transmission.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of a concern that like literally the transmission can seize, and then it would cause the engine to just seize on the road.
Yeah.
That's way more dangerous than any of the recalls that we've seen of the 4 with Cybertruck.
Yeah, but we don't know how batteries work, and even though we know gasoline burns, batteries burn more. Didn't know if you knew that.
Yeah.
It's just those contradictions. I've been a computer technology geek my entire freaking life. So I have watched everything that I enjoy and love, from video games to the internet, be vilified, demonized, and then instantly turned into the saving grace that changed society forever. And it's like, that's what we're facing right now. It's a whole new. Everybody thought that people who generally don't know shit about cars are also the ones saying, "I hear that car burns a lot." Being like, "Okay, is that what you're saying? Have you read a lot about that? What do you know about
those
cars?"
Same people make decisions and also run for like political like power, and then also vote on things. So it's like I saw just this week, or no, today was somewhere in Florida that they were talking about, like, oh yeah, if hurricane season's coming through, make sure to put your EV away from your house, so in case it catches fire randomly because it flooded, it doesn't burn your house down. It's like, where is the evidence of that? Like there's no thought put in other than that they heard something.
Because now somebody thinks, oh, these batteries are just like saran wrapped under the car, as opposed to being in like airtight sealed containers with a firewall. Sorry, Hugo in the chat was saying, Cybertruck haters out there on YouTube. I just think that it's one of those, like, when it's in vogue to hate on something and it gets clicks, it gets views, it gets minutes spent on YouTube, then of course everybody's going to jump all over. Oh, it's stupid looking thing. I mean, I've got friends on my Instagram reel and colleagues that I work with that post memes about how stupid the truck is, and it looks like a dumpster and all these things, and I'm like, okay, so we're just hating something because everybody's hating on it. Like, if it didn't even enter your purview of what everybody else is engaging on social media, you probably wouldn't have this opinion. But because somebody posted a meme and hitting share is so easy, it just continues the hate cycle. When the shitty thing is that it's like, most of that hate, it's mostly just monetized. It's just people trying to get those clicks.
Yeah.
Well, not monetized just for getting clicks, but also monetized because there's plenty of people shorting Tesla. There's a lot of money shorting Tesla, and they're spending money to make sure that these people are actively going out and saying shit about Tesla. Like, it's clear.
It is bizarre, and it's been several years of them trying to push the needle on the shorts thing, and it's like, guys, I mean, they're still making the cars. It's not like, why are you trying to do this? Is it working? Like 2 years, 3 years into this, calling out shorts and all that stuff, is it working though? The shorts trying to push it. It's like, just let them make cars. If somebody wants to buy the Cybertruck, let them buy the Cybertruck. I don't know where this, hate weighing in needs to happen.
Totally.
Does the car offend you? Did it kill your parents? Like, did it run for president in a country you don't like? Like, I don't get this weird reaction to the truck. But to me, it's the thing. It's like everybody hates it because at first they're like, "What is this thing? This looks stupid." Whatever. It's like, all right, well.
Well, I mean, if you want to put tinfoil hat on, like, who would have the money to fund all these anti-EV campaigns? It would be big oil.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's probably just like a small line on their budget to be like, all right, marketing, R&D, whatever.
Few million. Just
sprinkle in 10 million to the Twitter crowd and see how many of them can, speak their hate, And that might just be as simple as it was.
It makes sense. If I was big oil, I'd do the same thing. I'd be like, all right, let's just spend, Marty, a marginal amount just to, shit talk on
Yeah.
my competitors.
And chances are that they've kind of engaged in that for long enough where it's eroded a fair amount of people's, oh, a Tesla, that's interesting. Oh, that's kind of a cool car. And now they've seen
Right.
8 pictures of a car on fire, the same car, just different angles. And now they've all decided, I am an expert on EVs because I watched this on YouTube, at least 3 different YouTube videos I watched. And now I can tell you for sure this car is dangerous. It'll cut you in half if it runs into you on the road. And
Yeah.
to which I'm usually like, well, then don't run into it. Don't get run over by it. Like, have we seen an epidemic of Cybertrucks running over people yet? Like,
Yeah. Autonomously. I think the
severed
thing
feet
is like,
and yeah.
bringing this full circle, I think that people that are interested in EVs, I feel like they're the same people that would think for themselves and try to weed through all the BS.
Yeah, I think that, and it's still that, and that's kind of been that fight that Tesla's had to take up. It's that they are the first ones trying to create a substantial fleet of a different type of vehicle than people are accustomed to driving. And people already don't know how their car works. So getting another type of car that runs off of a battery is only going to further confuse it or leave gaps and opportunities for somebody to step in and be like, if it rains on a Tesla, it'll burst into flames. Or you can't take it. You can't take. What was that one meme where it was like some young woman who was like, I can't take my Tesla to a car wash because you can't get water on it because then the battery will explode.
Yeah.
Oh my
God. And void your warranty.
Yeah. All these things. And I'm like, man, this car sounds massively dangerous. Well, I mean, there's a recall for the wiper blade and the thing that was up. Yes, so easy fix. You're like, it requires a level of savvy. It requires a level of it requires a level of savvy, and it requires a level of baloney detector to look at something and be like, this isn't the devil. It's okay. It's just another car. It just has another way of zoom go. But, people love to be a part of that bashing if they can, never miss up a good opportunity to grab a pitchfork and jump in.
Well, it's kind of sad because I filmed a video yesterday with a gentleman who stated that he received the email for the Cybertruck. He hasn't pulled the trigger yet, and he says the main reason why he hasn't pulled the trigger is because of all the hate that he sees online about the Cybertruck. And he goes, I don't want to be driving around with my family and just that, happening to us, and I talked to him and I told him, I've been flipped off. I've had drinks thrown on my truck. I've had, some of that. We see other stuff. I mean, I think Jay is in chat right now and says that he had somebody give him the middle finger. And so, I mean, it's true. And so, Hugo, when you get yours, get ready.
Well, I don't know where Jay is, but I feel like in Texas, I've literally had one person flip me off. Like that's pretty much it. I feel like at least here it's been more acceptable, and I'm not necessarily in Austin proper. I'm outside of Austin, so we go through a lot of Texas kind of places, and it's been pretty cordial. People are like, they'll state their opinion, but they're not going to be malicious about it.
Yeah,
from what I've seen.
I mean, when I was driving mine around, I got more questions than any other kind of engagement. I don't even remember any hostility really. And obviously, I mean, one person making an issue or threatening you or something is going to catch your eye and set the tone for your entire day. Chances are a lot of your ownership for weeks and weeks. But being somebody who's driven a Tesla or Teslas long enough, there is, I think, more of an opportunity for people who are interested in buying Teslas, Cybertruck or other. I find that the number one thing that they need is just a level-headed owner that will answer some of their questions. And that's all we have to do. It's it's all you have to do with the Cybertruck. So it's like, oh, it burst into flames? No, sitting right over there. You want to take a look?
Yeah.
It's like just get past that initial pessimism and whatever. And most of the time, everybody's just kind of like, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to order one. Thanks, man. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
There's so much confusion.
For that.
Yeah, I was at I don't know if I told you guys. I don't think I told you guys, but the Home Depot story. Did I tell you guys that? No.
Tell it again.
I went to Home Depot, I think it was last week, and two guys were walking by my truck, and I overheard them talking as I was walking to my truck. They were walking past my truck, and them not knowing that's my truck, I heard one guy looks over at the other guy and goes, "What's the purpose of that truck?" And it's like, what does it matter to you? You know, that's the way I look at it. It's like, I don't even know what you're driving, and I don't care what you're driving. So, you know, it's like, but that's, you know, you get some of that. So it is what it is. I don't care. But this is what I think what we can end on is, we talked about months ago about, you know, how Jeeps do the little ducks, and we want to do something with the Cybertruck. So I've tried again. I know I've told you guys once before. I tried again. There was a Cybertruck, because I'm seeing more and more now right here locally in my neighborhood, in my community. And I did the I did it, you know, just to, and they just drove by. They didn't even pay attention to me. They're probably like, "What is this crazy guy doing?" So I don't think that one's gonna work. I've tried twice. It's not doing much. So, you know, what are you gonna do? We got to come up with
Marketing
something.
campaign. We got to come up with something.
We got to come up with something. We got to start a movement. So
Wave. I mean, Wave. Yeah, because we've seen a lot more, especially in the last couple months, than before. Yeah, especially like I just ran into the other, like, my neighbor that he also like rents out his Cybertruck. We just like passed by each other in the neighborhood. It was kind of a fun thing. But yeah,
you
it's
guys,
cool to see it more.
you guys should fight each other. Like, hey, that's my customer. What are you doing?
Yeah.
You know, you're
I
taking
mean,
my business.
He doesn't have his wrapped. I have mine wrapped, so I think we
Okay.
have our own camps. So
Okay.
we're
All right.
cool. We're cool
All
to
right.
cool to be in the same arena.
Sounds good. Well, that's all I got, guys. You guys have anything else?
No, just another week of paradise. Let's see what. Let's see. We're getting closer to the Robotaxi event, so I guess we'll just keep wildly anticipating whatever the hell's gonna happen there.
Yep.
Starlink Mini is coming up soon.
That
Keep it on
Starlink
the
Mini
radar.
looked cool. I just wish the service wasn't so expensive.
Yeah,
It
same.
is.
And it can't be paused. It's like, oh my god!
Yeah.
Like I have one Starlink for just remote shoots and other stuff, just as an option to offer to
100%.
clients. And you can run it off AC. You can pause the, you know, like I basically pay a 1 month fee and bring it back, and then I can pause it again after I'm done with it. But yeah, that thing continuing around, like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would buy right now if I could do month to month. To
Yeah.
be like, okay, power went out. All right, purchase Starlink. All right, we're go.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I want it for.
I would do the same thing for camping.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
If I could do it.
You're gonna go camping for a month, or
Yeah, I think I got the Starlink like back. I had worked a job in Denver or outside of Denver, and the production they had rented a Starlink from somebody else, and I was like, you know what? That's something that comes in handy, because I mean I go on shoots up to like Lake Los Angeles or Palmdale, Lancaster, Mojave, Death Valley, just lots of rando places with the worst cell service in the world. And if you want to make producers happy, help them get internet. They love it. They're like, you're my friend now. So, Starlink.
Cool.
All right, guys. Till next week.
Alrighty. Later, Hugo.